Stephen Curry has broken basketball. The game will never be the same again, and it's all thanks to the greatest shooter who may have ever lived. This is the story of how a skinny kid from Akron, Ohio, completely redefined what it means to be a great shooter and changed the geometry of the sport forever. The story of Stephen Curry's shooting prowess begins in many ways before he was even born. His father, Del Curry, was an NBA sharpshooter in his own right, known for his quick release and deep range. Del passed down not only his shooting touch, but also his love of the game to young Steph. Even as a toddler, Steph seemed drawn to the sport his father played. Del recalls how baby Steph would sit contentedly in his crib during Hornets games, waking up when the game started, watching intently the whole time, and falling back asleep as soon as the final buzzer sounded. By osmosis, or perhaps destiny, Steph was absorbing the game from his earliest days. As Steph grew, so did his passion for hoops. He would tag along to his father's practices and games whenever possible. Hornets coach George Karl was charmed by the youngster's presence, and shooting competitions would often break out, pitting Del, Steph, and Hornet sharpshooter Ray Allen against all comers. Even as a preteen, Steph's talent was apparent. But it was also a glimpse into the future. A future where Steph Curry would surpass Allen and every other marksman who came before them to completely redefine what it meant to be a great shooter. Of course, Steph's shooting ability wasn't just genetic. From an early age, Del Curry recognized his son's potential and did everything he could to nurture it. He didn't just pass down his shooting form to Steph. He ingrained in him the habits and mindset required to be a great shooter. Del bought a hoop for the side of their house, and Steph spent countless hours shooting on it, honing his form, building his range, dreaming of following in his father's NBA footsteps. Some of Del's lessons were unorthodox. He wouldn't let Steph shoot threes until he was 10, forcing him to perfect his form and his fundamentals first. But all of Del's teaching served to build Steph into a shooting technician with skill beyond his years. Steph's other great mentor was his younger brother, Seth. The two were constantly in competition, pushing each other to new heights. Del would put them through the same grueling shooting drills, and neither brother would allow himself to lose to the other. That competitive fire forged Steph into an even better shooter, while also preparing him for the pressure and intensity of performing at the next level. By the time Steph was lighting up the NCAA at Tiny Davidson College, his shooting pedigree was clear. He already possessed the form, the fundamentals, and the mental fortitude of a shooting great thanks to the lessons of his father and brother. The numbers are staggering. Over 3,000 made threes in his NBA career, a 40% plus career three-point percentage on extremely high volume. The most threes ever made in a single season. Steph Curry's shooting stats are basically unheard of, and they're a testament to his incredible dedication to his craft. Practice is a huge part of the Steph Curry story. His pre-game and off-day shooting routines have become the stuff of legend. It's not uncommon for Curry to take upwards of 500 shots in a single session, mixing in dribble moves, runners, and trick shots from all over the court. He practices at game speed with a level of focus and intensity other players just can't match. This relentless work ethic is what separates Curry from his peers. Other great shooters may have a similar form or level of talent, but no one puts in the hours perfecting their shot like Steph does. He lives by the mantra that the separation is in the preparation, and his meticulous practice habits have built him into a finely tuned shooting machine. But Curry's greatness as a shooter isn't just a result of the quantity of his practice, it's also the quality. Every rep has a purpose. Curry isn't just going through the motions. He's visualizing game shots, staying mentally locked in, and holding himself to an impossibly high standard. Even in practice, he's chasing perfection. This chase has led to some unorthodox drills. Curry is known for taking shots from well beyond NBA three-point range, even from half court or the opposing baseline. While these shots may seem like showboating, they serve to expand Curry's range and give him ultimate confidence in his shot in games. If he can make it from 40 feet consistently in practice, a 23-footer in a game is a chip shot. As great as Steph Curry's individual shooting talent is, his record-breaking NBA career also owes a lot to factors outside of his control. Through a combination of good genes, an ideal team situation, and fortuitous timing with how the game was evolving, Curry landed in the perfect spot to revolutionize the sport with his shooting. Let's start with the genetics. We already discussed the influence of Steph's father Dell, but it turns out the Curry shooting touch extends beyond just those two. Steph's mother Sonia was also an excellent shooter, and his younger brother Seth is an NBA marksman as well. The Currys are a shooting family through and through. Steph also ended up in an ideal situation with the Golden State Warriors. After landing with the Warriors in the 2009 draft, in an interesting bit of luck as the Timberwolves passed on him twice, Curry found himself surrounded by excellent shooting teammates like Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant. Having other elite shooters around him created space for Curry to operate and force defenses to stay home on the other Warriors snipers. Just as important was the coaching staff and system Curry found himself in. Head coach Steve Kerr and the rest of the Warriors staff empowered Curry to shoot from anywhere at any time. They designed an offense to take advantage of his unique skills, force defenses to extend out to half court, and give Steph the ultimate green light. In another situation, Curry's shooting talents may have been stifled, but the Warriors unleashed him on the league. Finally, the timing of Curry's rise lined up perfectly with a league-wide shift towards three-point shooting. As analytics began to show the value of the three ball, teams were already looking to bomb away from deep more often. Curry didn't start the three-point revolution, but he became its poster boy and spiritual leader. His success with the long ball inspired a whole generation of players to extend their range and adopt his shoot from anywhere mentality. Would Steph Curry still be an all-time great shooter if he played 20 years earlier or landed on a different team? Almost certainly. His individual talent and drive are too immense, but the fact that he came along when he did, on the team that he did, allowed him to reach his full world-changing potential. It was a perfect storm that lifted the greatest shooter ever to heights no one could have ever imagined. Stephen Curry's basketball legacy is still being written, but his impact is already immense. He's not just the greatest shooter ever, he's changed the geometry of the game, pushing it inexorably beyond the arc. His influence is obvious every time you watch an NBA game and see players firing up threes from 30 feet without hesitation. That's Steph's doing. Curry's shooting has launched the Warriors to 3 NBA titles and counting. It's earned him 2 MVP awards, one of them unanimous. Beyond just the awards, he's earned the fear and admiration of his peers, players who marvel at what he's able to do to them on a nightly basis. LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Damian Lillard, they've all sung the praises of Curry's world-altering shooting ability. But Curry's influence extends beyond even the NBA. His shooting has trickled down to lower levels, with college stars and up-and-coming prospects patterning their games after him. Young players around the world are growing up with Steph as their idol, trying to imitate his quick release and 30-foot range. Curry is this generation's Michael Jordan, the guy every kid on the playground wants to be like, and he's not done yet. Even as he enters his mid-30s, Curry continues to refine his craft, putting up shooting numbers that boggle the mind. He may still have his best shooting season ahead of him, which is a frightening prospect for the rest of the league. With the way that he takes care of his body and constantly works to improve his game, Curry could remain the game's most feared shooter for years to come. Whenever he finally hangs them up, Steph Curry will leave the game in a far different place than he found it. A sport once dominated by big men and slashers will be, in large part thanks to him, a bomber's game. His name will be etched all over the record books, likely to never be touched. And his legacy as the man who single-handedly redefined what great shooting meant in basketball will endure. We are witnessing greatness, a player and skill the likes of which the game has never seen before and may never see again. Stephen Curry is the greatest shooter of all time. But hey, that's just my take. Let us know your favorite Steph Curry moments or shooting records in the comments section below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're always breaking down the biggest stories and trends in the NBA, and you won't want to miss our future videos. And hey, while you're at it, smash that bell icon too. That way you'll be notified as soon as we drop new content. Trust me, with how quickly things change in the NBA, you'll want to stay up to date. We'll see you next time.